Welcome to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. You can send questions for each show on Twitter using the hashtag IndieBeacon. Now sit back and enjoy learning about our guest for this show.
And welcome to today's show. This is your host, b-alan-bourgeois. We appreciate you listening in and learning about a Texas author. Tonight we have with us Thomas Fletcher Grooms. Welcome, Thomas.
Thank you, Alan.
You have an interesting background. First off, I'm curious, you've earned both a JD and multiple PhDs. How many PhDs do you have?
Two. One in
the
the
United
United
States.
Finance.
They're all in finance or international aspects, business?
The U.S. degree is in global business, international business, and the one from England, from the U.K., is in marketing with the first minor in international business and economics.
Now, the English one, did you get that after your U.S. PhD?
It was, yes, I did.
That's interesting that you did those both, and in two different types of sitting and education aspects. But I'm sure that also then gave you a better understanding of the global market, which is really what you have taught and are sharing with people and what your books are about. Is that pretty accurate?
Very accurate. And just an interest, especially to the Texans, I taught the first international business court ever taught in the state of Texas years ago. And I helped the first degree in international business become accredited in the state of Texas. So I've done a lot of pioneering work.
Yes, you have, and even with your books, which we will get into. So real quickly, where in Texas did you give that first class?
It was at Richland College, which is located in Dallas, Texas. This was back in the early, mid-'80s.
Cool. And you created the first international business class. And did that happen after the Russian aspect or beforehand?
That was in the 80s, early 80s. I created the card, and when I was passing it out to people and corporations, I had to look at it and say, well, you can't use this card. It's not right, because it was so different. But then over the years, the elements, I wished I could have franchised it or copyrighted it, but a lot of the techniques and creative ideas I used have been adopted over the years and are still being used today by business people all over the world.
So you were definitely bucking the system back at that point, and that, I guess, then brought you to their attention as far as what you could do. And so let's go into your books, because this is really interesting considering what the economics are today versus what they were then, and all this other stuff. You have three books that all relate to Russia and the economy. So let's start. Tell us about the first one and what was the reason for being involved in that.
Okay. The first book on Russia, which was the collapse of Russia, and what had happened, this goes back to 1917, the Bolshevik Revolution. And in that timeline, when Stalin, Lenin, Trotsky came into power, at the end of World War I, they adopted a work by Karl Marx, published in 1867, Das Kapital, on communism. So they decided to take the socialism, which is the first phase and stage of communism, global, and which would introduce communism to the rest of the world and become a global ideology. When they started that, they needed money. And so that first organization of hardline communists coming into power didn't have money, so they started borrowing money. They continued to borrow money up until November 9th, 1989, when the Berlin Wall collapsed. And when this happened, the Russia financial system and markets were exposed. And from 1989 to 1998, Russia continued to go into a financial and economic spiral depths of collapse. In 1998, Russia asked the United States for help because we had the most successful incubator, small business entrepreneur incubator program in the world. I'd written a book, small book on entrepreneurship, small business, and strategies. And because of my background growing up in the family business and had taught in the classroom, someone in Washington had seen that book and asked me to be on the 5-person team, which they sent to Russia. My job was to help restart their national economy. So on October 15th, 1998, Russia went into a total collapse financially and economically like 1929 here. Their stock market crashed, the ruble collapsed, and then later in 1998, I got a call, and the phone rang. I said hello, and someone said, "Do you want to go to Russia?" And I thought it was a joke. And I said, "Sure." And at that time, it took a diplomat at least 30 days or more for approval to get a visa to enter Russia. To show you how bad they needed us, the next weekend, I was in Russia with that team. And we made history. Government escort with radio, TV, newspapers. And in this first book, I wrote what actually happened in Russia, economically, financially, what I saw, what I experienced from the time I left Dallas until I returned. And then about 3 weeks or so ago, I published the second book on Russia, which were many of the lessons that I taught in the classroom for over 50 years, which helped make probably at least a quarter to a third of all my past students millionaires today. So many of these principles and businesses, lessons and tactics are in this second book called My Mission to Russia, which just came out. And then the past couple of weeks, I've started writing the third final book on Russia, which is in this trilogy series on the culture of Russia and how to do business in Russia today, this century.
I want to go back real quickly. My Mission in Russia, Business Incubators, Tactics, and Lessons. That's book number 2. Can those lessons and tactics be applied here in the U.S.?
Absolutely, without question. I did consulting for some years, and many of these things are in there. And it is how to start a business, because when you have a country in trouble and people don't have money to start a business, and they can't find work to create incomes to feed themselves and their families, the most natural conclusion is entrepreneurship, to start your own business. So these types of things I talk in that, and a plan, which is through the Master Incubator Program, which we have to set up. They had a previous incubator program there from another country, and it was not successful. And I pointed out one or two things why it was not with that program, and ours was. And so a lot of the things that I structured in this book and work is a young adult or even an older adult in their 50s and 60s needing to work, how to start their own business from scratch, no income. And the Russia system is entirely different in that the government, because of their previous socialist nature, were willing to offer financial help to young entrepreneurs. They just had their parameters, and some of their program structure was not really quite in place where it needed to be successful, in my opinion. And this was one of the major important contributions we made while we was there. And this was a lot, primarily on my shoulders, because the seminars and lectures and work that I did there were on entrepreneurship, business startups, which was to help those at the local level of Russian government townships and their population, especially their young adults, which needed to find work and create incomes. It was a very tragic situation which occurred, and it was a very dire situation. We're talking about basic food and survival. One factor, in 1998, the life expectancy for a Russian had dropped to 45 years of age. Alcoholism, vodka was a major problem, especially for the wives, the families. But think about it. I mean, the men worked, they took care of the wives and families. Russia has a major population of women workers. And so they, especially during World War II, they worked in the factories, the farms, they did jobs men normally do. And the men there, because they could not find work, create income, it became a very psychologically depressing scenario for them and unacceptable, which led to very heavy drinking.
We're just about out of time. We have like about 30 seconds left. Will you let people know where they can find your books?
My books are published on Amazon, and there is a synopsis write-up with direct links to purchase my books on my website at www.mkintel.org, the Academy of Market Intelligence.
Great. We're going to step away for a break, and we will be right back.
Do you love to read great new ebooks? Visit ebg247.com. Be the first to discover the next bestseller. At ebg247, we have the web's largest selection of great new book reads, from that amazing new fiction or nonfiction to horror, romance, and fantasy. We even have today's best children's books. That's ebg247.com. New books arrive daily, and all ebooks start at just 99 cents. If you love to read, then you'll love ebg247.com. Low prices, large selection, and an easy-to-use website. It's all only at ebg247.com.
Headlines. Cryptocurrency vultures are circling around failing governments. Darknet predators are rushing to market with their newest digital product. They promise economic salvation, even as they coupon clips straight from your digital wallet. The newest techno-thriller installment from Brakefield and Berkey, The Enigma Source. Book 10 of the Enigma series continues the combat of cyber good guys versus cyber thugs set in today's digital landscape. Texas Authors is proud to be a supporter of IndieBeacon.com, a website that supports indie authors from around the world. If you are looking for help with marketing or getting published, IndieBeacon.com can assist you. Years of experience by the founder is available to any indie author looking for help. IndieBeacon.com, a place for creative souls to find help in marketing their creations.
I Will Be the One by Larry Farmer, published by the Wild Rose Press. When I arrived at the Manila International Airport in February 1984 in a group of prospective Peace Corps volunteers and looked out the window at the miles of ghetto around me, it took every ounce of idealism I had to stay. I already had a best friend in our group, a girl I'd met back at the staging area in San Diego, named Lois. It made being friends appealing since we probably were going to be stuck out in the middle of nowhere after we finished training.
Hello, Texas authors. My name is Randy James, coming to you from my Carrollton recording studio, where I spend time writing and producing commercials for my radio endorsement clients, as well as my private freelance clients. I'd like the opportunity to help you sell more books with a commercial like this and get listeners of Dear Texas Radio excited about your title, all at a special introductory price. Available to members of the Texas Association of Authors. Call or text 214-762-1942. That's 214-762-1942.
Bourgeois Media and Consulting, a book publishing consultant where creative inspiration is realized. More at bourgeoismedia.com.
Howdy, I'm John Cruder, the Midnight Marauder. I guess you might say that I'm a vigilante who rights the wrongs I see along my many travels to balance the scales of justice, especially those of the corrupt and murderous members of the Town Council of Bandera, Texas. You can follow my many adventures in a series of Midnight Marauder books written by Roy Clinton on Amazon.com and TopWesterns.com. Or, if you prefer, listen to my adventures in audiobook form by downloading them from Audible.com or iTunes. This is R. William James, the voice of the Midnight Marauder.
Welcome to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. You can send questions for each show on Twitter using the hashtag IndieBeacon. Now sit back and enjoy learning about our guest for this show.
And welcome back. This is your host, b-alan-bourgeois. We appreciate you being with us and learning about a Texas author. And this one's name is Thomas Fletcher Grooms, who has a very interesting story about economics in Russia. And real quickly, Thomas, you mentioned that My Mission in Russia, Business Incubators, was your second book. What was the title of your first one?
The Collapse of Russia.
A Time to Remember. And so your third book then is The Market Intelligence, the original work. Is that correct?
The first book I'd written is Market Intelligence, the original work, which was 26 years of research and study and work. This was the work that I did in England at Henley, England's first school of management, like Harvard here in the States. They are ranked 4th in Europe, 15th in world rankings. And while I was there, in the fall of 1991, I came across a term, market intelligence, and I explored, I did preliminary research and found it had only been used 6 times in the world. And I did some preliminary research and confirmation by a fellow by the name of Eugene Jaffe at Bar-Leon University, full professor tenured. He was the president of the European International Business Academy at the time, and Eugene confirmed my work. And so Henley permitted me to do this. So for 10 years, I did the work and development of the concept and defining market intelligence. So I discovered it, I created it, and I'm the father of it. And the first book is about it. It talks about 17 types of business intelligence. But one thing unique in it, because this is work that I've done, studied for over 50 years, and that is Chapter 2 is the most complete writing ever published in history on spies. The research I had done identified the first spy in history through 2017. Their names, many of them code names, agencies they worked for, dates, the history of intelligence agency, and all this is put together in a short chapter in Chapter 2 of this book. And this has never been done before or put together. It's something no one could find reading 1,000 books. In fact, because I've done it over so many years, they probably couldn't find this information. So that's the market intelligence work in the first book that I had performed, and I continue today to talk about and educate on market intelligence, what it is, its effect. And one of the purposes, I was able to identify and confirm that there was this tremendous void which left presidents of countries and CEOs and presidents of large corporations vulnerable, with no one to watch their back, and no one to verify the validity, the reliability, and the value of the information they're receiving, as well as physical protection. And I know there's a lot of agencies that do this, but there is no structure ever created that actually works directly with and for the president. So this was a breakthrough, a real creative design that came out of one of the ideas that came out of this research. And then I explored that with future space travel. I mean, corporate mining is coming. Robotic production and substitute for physical labor is here. In the next not too distant future, probably 50% of all jobs in the United States will be robotic. And with future exploration, interstellar travel, I saw market intelligence as the intelligence branch and arm, thus the design for my emblem of market intelligence, to take it and its work into the future and to beyond Earth. Of course, that's getting into another subject and topic you might not want to go into or explore at this time.
And that's a perfect time to ask this particular question. Considering the economic power that Russia has turned into, do you regret any of going over and helping them?
Absolutely not. There's a lot of misinformation, and I know bias from Russia, but you have to separate the intelligence community from the political government and the people. Those are three entirely different worlds, just like it is in the United States. Intelligence agencies, it doesn't make any difference which one it is in which country. They're always competing against each other, whether it's the GRU, the former KGB in Russia, or CIA, MI5, MI6 in England. It doesn't make any difference. They're all in competition with each other to be the first to be in the know and find out what's going on in other places of the world. That's their business. That's their cup of tea. The political aspects of presidents and operations of countries, this is where I saw market intelligence applying. I personally do not. Russia is a military power of international weapons. One of the effects between 1989 and 2017, you look at the loss of population in Russia due to this tragedy of the collapse of Russia. They have dropped from third in population to sixth in population. They don't have the population to invade Europe or conquer Europe or China or the United States or any other country. They're simply protecting their Soviet, or let me say prior Soviet real estate, which they had, which is what they want to do and defend it. And so in those terms, I don't see Russia a threat. The people there thought we were spies when we went. This is an interesting story. Until they got
we only have just a few minutes left, so if you can keep this in our context.
I'll make this really quick. When we went, and everywhere we spoke, the first question that came out was, are you Russian? I mean, are you a spy? Are you mafia? Tell us about the mafia. There were 3 TV stations in Russia at the time we were there in 1998. They were all playing the old Al Capone movies. They were still under the impression all Americans are mafia, criminals, because of the Cold War. And we worked hard to dispel this. And they found out, and they put on their pants one leg at a time like us. They just wanted to feed their families. Because after we left in 1998, there were 4 months when Russia was totally open, exposed. No military, police, government, anybody could have walked in and out of Russia. This is when nuclear suitcases and armaments were leaving, because when Russia collapsed in October, the financial system in 1998, when we were there, the elderly had not even been paid their retirement, which was only about equivalent to $6 a month. The military hadn't been paid. They needed to feed their families. They needed help. And jobs was the best way to do it. And I was glad we could go and help. And this was a good thing.
We just have a couple minutes left. And again, I'd like for you to repeat to people where they can find your book and your website.
My website is the Academy of Market Intelligence, www.mkintel.org, which has a synopsis of my books and direct links to Amazon, where my books can be acquired either in paperback or in an e-book.
And, of course, they can be purchased at books.txauthors.com.
Absolutely.
And finally, how can people reach out to you? Do you have Facebook or Twitter or anything of that nature?
I am on LinkedIn. My website has a contact, so if they go into the speaker option for speaking, they can send me a direct link, and I can reply to that if they tell me how to contact them and reply.
Okay, great. Well, we thank you very much for being with us. We appreciate your time and effort. We look forward to seeing your third book in the series coming out. Again, just so everybody knows, The Collapse of Russia, A Time to Remember, was followed up by My Mission to Russia, Business Incubators, Tactics, and Lessons. And your third one probably be out next year. Is that about right?
I'm hoping in a few months.
All righty. Well, thank you very much again for your time, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you for the opportunity and talking about this important subject today.
Love to read? Love to meet authors in person? Then check out bookfestival.network to find a book festival in your region of Texas. We are adding book festival events throughout the year, so sign up to get notices and even a coupon towards purchase of a Texas author's book. Sign up at bookfestival.network. Texas Authors is proud to be a supporter of IndieBeacon.com, a website that supports indie authors from around the world. If you are looking for help with marketing or getting published, IndieBeacon.com can assist you. Years of experience by the founder is available to any indie author looking for help. IndieBeacon.com, a place for creative souls to find help in marketing their creations. Thank you for listening to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. To learn more about Indie Beacon services, to be a guest on the show, or to advertise on our show, please visit our website at indiebeacon.com.